look at the bad CV. So we can go on to the next slide, Garth. So yes, this CV isn't great. You'll notice there's quite a few spelling errors. In Ireland, typically we don't need to have a photo on your CV unless it's requested. It's more of a European thing. With exam results, I would advise really just putting the most recent exam results in, or the most relevant. So if you've done a master's and you've done a degree, you don't necessarily need to be listing your leaving cert and your junior cert results. You need to be very cautious with the results. So we had an incident recently where we had a gentleman who was applying for a role in the bank. He didn't actually go back to check the transcript with his university, and he knew he got 60 something percentage. So he put in that he got 65. And actually when the bank went to do his background check after offering him the role, it transpired he only got 64%. So the offer actually was withdrawn because of that error on the CV. Now, it didn't make a difference to his application whether he got 64 or 65, but it's just those tiny details need to be checked and double checked and make sure that everything is very accurate.
So you really want to be absolutely prepared with all your background. And I mean, as a matter of interest, do you get many bad CVs nowadays, Eimear?
Yes, we do.
Really?
We do. You'd be surprised. I think the most important thing when you're doing your CV, it's the first impression you're creating with a new employer. Have somebody else proof it for you, run a spell check, ensure all the font is correct, ensure all the spelling are correct. The one thing there actually with the email address I didn't comment on, make sure your email address is professional. You'd be surprised some of the email addresses we get in from time to time. First name, surname is always best.
And Eimear, I was speaking to someone before, that were doing these webinars, and they were asking, do we still put in hobbies and interests anymore? Is that still relevant, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it's important to show a little bit of your personality on the paper as well. I wouldn't take up a huge chunk of space. I mean, it's ideal to keep your CV still to 2 pages. That is sort of the traditional that we try to stick to. And just list a couple of things that you're interested in. Make sure, again, you're honest. If you're an avid reader on your CV, might be asked what's the last book that you've had. So again, kind of flying through this, keep the most relevant points first. Things that you're really going to, like, at the end of the day, this is a sales tool. It is selling your skills. So you want to make sure that it's very relevant. Explain the gaps, and also, I suppose, use one pronoun throughout. It's your document. So as opposed to talking to yourself in the third party, also just I would say like me or I the whole way through it. These are things I have done.
And Eimear, if you were mentioning about, we're talking about style. Is there, I mean, we're seeing different kind of font types even here. Is there anything that you recommend on that? I know there's a question there.
Traditionally, I saw the question pop up. Traditionally, we would have said Times New Roman 12 was kind of what you have to go with. People are using different types of fonts now. I think just keep it fairly professional. Arial or Calibri, I think, is another one that people use.
Okay. I do too.
The font isn't. I think once it's the same font throughout, it's very easy to read. I would advise keeping it black as opposed to using too much color. Again, for maybe more creative roles and marketing and different things like that, people tend to use imagery and bits and pieces, but I would keep it kind of simple, something you would use in your work environment, typically, as opposed to any of these fancy Gothic types or anything like that.
Keep it clean and keep it professional. No, absolutely.